Hello, my name is Adrian and welcome to Rabona TV's Weekend Recap, where we recap every single thing that I personally did over the weekend, and we also talk football. You know, top 4 leagues, and then a bonus league on top of that. This weekend's Weekend Recap is brought to you by you. Thanks to everyone who has been watching and supporting the channel, and a big welcome to the new subscribers as well. Thanks for joining our community. Be sure to say what up in the comments. Oh yeah, I'm Adrian, by the way, the only host of this channel, unfortunately. Quick PSA before we dive into things. Yes, I will be doing a video on what's happened with City and their potential ban. Yes, I said potential ban, but in the meantime, I have some homework for you, okay? Professor Adrian has assigned you to watch this video here, linked in the iCard, before you watch the next explainer I do, because doing a recap on what they allegedly did wrong will take up way too much time to do both subjects, both what they did wrong and what will happen next. I'll give a brief summary, obviously, but if you want more detail, more documents that were leaked, might not be real, but apparently UEFA thinks they are, we'll see. Let's start with the bonus league, as promised after last week's video. And no, as much as Porto fans would love for me to speak about how shit Benfica have been lately, which they have been, we're heading down under to the A-League. The leaders, Sydney FC, did not play this weekend, but despite having nearly 3 matches in hand in comparison to second place Melbourne, they're still the runaway leaders of the league, unbeaten in 12 matches now, just 1 loss from 15. Big Coach Steve has the boys flying. Melbourne City, of course, under the City Football Group umbrella, had an opportunity to cut down Sydney's lead to 7 points, but ultimately tripped up against Wellington Phoenix. Gary Hooper set up what was the winner for Wellington. Remember Gary Hooper of Celtic fame, later of Norwich, Sheffield Wednesday. Hoop Daddy with the assist, his 3rd of the season to go with his 4 goals so far. Brisbane Roar got a victory over Western United, a convincing victory away to Western United actually, as the home side didn't even register a single shot on target. Brisbane's hero was Mirza, his 2nd of the season for the youngster, starting to establish himself in the team with the opportunities he's been given, 2 starts consecutively, 2 goals. And finally, Adelaide made it 4 wins from their last 5 matches as they start to surge up the standings. This weekend they defeated Central Coast Mariners 2-0 at home at Cooper Stadium. They left it late though, 2 goals in 2 minutes, the 82nd and the 84th gave them the win. And so, as I was saying, Sydney are the runaway leaders, and they could have an even larger lead if they win all of those matches in hand. Adelaide have jumped up to 4th with their victory, while Wellington have kept them honest with their own win over Melbourne. From Australia to Germany, as a big shock happened on Friday in a multitude of ways. So, Dortmund were playing against Eintracht Frankfurt, who coming into this had been on a great run of form while Dortmund's defense had been on vacation. That spells danger to me, but the big shock is that absent defense actually showed up and was able to get a clean sheet. In a dominant performance, Dortmund beat down on Frankfurt. Lucas Piszczek scored in the first half, the club legend, and he became the 2nd oldest Dortmund player to score in the Bundesliga in the process. My man was 34 and 256 days old on Friday, second only to Christian Worns, who was just over 35 when he scored for Dortmund sometime in the last decade, 2008, 2009, something like that. In the second half, they really turned it up, and yet again, Jadon Sancho was in the mood to make it 2-0. That was his 13th of the season, already beating last season's total of 12 goals. No assists for him though. What's going on there, man? At least his stats are aesthetically pleasing, right? 13 goals, 13 assists. And after failing to score for the first time in his Dortmund career last week, Haaland got back on the board, notching his 8th in just 5 appearances. Absurd. He's already 3rd in Dortmund's Bundesliga scoring standings behind Royce and Sancho. Also, a shout out to Rafa Guerreiro, who scored the 4th, which was his 3rd goal in 4 matches. Man of the match performance from him. 4-0 Dortmund, looking good ahead of their match against PSG. Bayer Leverkusen got their 5th win from their last 6 matches as they went away to Union Berlin and won 3-2. It was really nice to see such a great performance out of Kai Havertz, as last season has proven to be pretty tough to follow up on, but there have been signs in 2020 that he's getting back to his old self. RB Leipzig got back to winning. Speaking of getting back to their old selves, their first in a month, actually. Their last victory was on January 18th. So thankfully for them, they played Werder Bremen this weekend, a team that's barely keeping their head above water and will be serious contenders to go down if they continue on this trajectory. Klosterman, Schick, and Mukiele with the goals, as Schick also grabbed an assist. He's really found himself at Leipzig, as he has 6 goals and 2 assists from 12 appearances. I found that he always looked lost and a non-threat at Roma, but he's been improving quite a lot at Leipzig. Oh, and Danny Olmo with his first assist at Leipzig to go with the goal he scored a couple of weeks ago against Frankfurt in the Pokal, which they lost, by the way. Schalke are borrowing plays from Arsenal, or I guess former Arsenal, after their victory. But Schalke got their 3rd draw in a row, meaning they haven't actually won a Bundesliga match since January 17th. But thanks to their good start to the season, they're still up near the European places. And Bayern Munich, they went away to Köln, certainly no pushovers. But when you're in the kind of form that Bayern is, with a squad like Bayern has, then there's only one outcome that can be expected. Victory for Flick and the boys. And that's exactly what Bayern fans were treated to, as they were 3-0 up after just 12 minutes. Thomas Müller's great form continues as he set up the first 2 goals, his 13th and 14th assists of the season, one more than Jadon Sancho now in the Bundesliga race for the most assists. Of course, Robert Lewandowski scored his 23rd in 22 matches, and when it was at 3-0, Manuel Neuer pulled off a beautiful tackle on Mark Uth, who would have been in clear. I rag on Neuer for some of his choices that I find to be ridiculous in regards to rushing out, but this one was perfectly executed. Big up Manuel. And later in the second half, your favorite left back, Alphonso Davies, set up Serge Gnabry to make it 4-0. I mean, I love Davies as much as the next guy, probably more than the next guy actually, but calling that an assist is a bit funny as he just laid it off to Gnabry and then the German slalomed through some defenders and curled it past Timo Horn. Alright, so Bayern continue to lead by just a point over Leipzig, and with Borussia Mönchengladbach winning, they move up to 42 points, but they can go level with Leipzig if they win their match in hand against Köln. For title race's sake, let's hope that they do. In England, there were 5 matches over the weekend, and there will be one today between United and Chelsea. On Valentine's Day, Wolves faced Leicester, played out a 0-0 draw. That's not getting anyone in the mood on Valentine's Day, you know? You don't want to subject your date to that game. Well, it wasn't a terrible game, but we want to see some goals, baby. We want to score. Know what I'm saying? On Saturday, Burnley went away to Southampton, and they did the damn thing. Goals from Westwood, not Tim Westwood, Ashley Westwood, and Vidra gave Burnley the 2-1 win over Southampton. Do you know what this means? This means that Dyche and the boys are unbeaten in 4 matches now, 3 wins and a draw, their greatest unbeaten stretch this season since back in September when they went 2 wins and 2 draws. Up the worm eater. Liverpool went away to Norwich and absolutely destroyed the hosts, but only in the stats department. They controlled every single aspect of the game, but the triforce of Krul, Hanley, and Zimmerman stood strong all match long until substitute Sadio Mane scored in the 78th minute. That was Mane's 12th goal of the season from 23 appearances. In case you're wondering, he scored 22 last season from 36 appearances, which was his career best, but he's definitely on track to smash his assist numbers, as his career best was 7 in the 17-18 season, and he's already on 6. All right, to Villa Park, where you shouldn't let the score fool you too much here. Tottenham won 3-2, which would suggest a very close match, but Tottenham did well to generate a ton of chances, but really lacked in quality when it came to finishing. Villa took the lead early thanks to an Alderweireld blunder. Nice little toe poke into his own goal there, but Alderweireld made up for it later as he scored on the turn with a great volley. 1-1. The angle and the fluidity to which he turned and smashed it. Why am I chef kissing so much in this video? Stop! Pepe Reina later saved a Son penalty, but the villains were sleeping on the rebound and Son was able to tuck it in. Engels equalized. Spurs continued to blow chances. They blew at least 5 opportunities throughout this match that they should have scored. Son the most guilty of them all in my opinion, but in the end, it was he who won the match for Spurs after a mistake that he picked up on and then rolled it past Pepe Reina.
You're speaking about the goals he scored or the goals he missed?
Well, we're coming on to the ones he missed in a minute.
Son has really stepped up in Kane's absence, by the way, as he scored in 5 consecutive matches for 6 goals now. Oh, and Spurs are unbeaten in 7 matches now across all competitions. Mourinho will love to see that. And finally, it looked as if Newcastle was going to frustrate Arsenal to death and play to another draw, but a second half show from Arsenal gave them the 4-0 win. They did it! Huge turnaround in the second half with Bukayo Saka providing much of the spark for Arsenal, man of the match. Aubameyang and Pepe with the first two, then a very Wenger-looking third was finished off by Ozil, and Lacazette with a great miss-hit into the top corner for the fourth. So, after drawing 4 in a row, Arsenal get a win, and hey, Arteta has them unbeaten in 8 matches across all competitions as well. That's a really good turnaround from the North London clubs. They made managerial changes, and so far, they've been positive ones. So not a full fixture list, but here are the movements. Liverpool's lead over City is currently at 25 points as City have a match in hand, which they'll play on Wednesday against West Ham. Spurs continue to put pressure on Chelsea, while Arsenal are now within striking distance of the top 6 and breathing down the necks of United. Man, that puts a lot of importance on that Chelsea versus United match today. Italy boasted the biggest match of the weekend, in my opinion, Sassuolo versus Parma. And I mean, these two teams were throwing it all. I'm joking. Well, if you're curious, Parma defeated Sassuolo 1-0 in their own home. But the big match I was alluding to was Inter versus Lazio, which we will get to later. Suspense. First though, well, secondly, I guess, following the SAS Parm, Fiorentina versus Sampdoria threw up a great battle of the teams that are threatening to relegate themselves, but there was only one team in this one, La Viola. Let's be real though, Fiorentina is not going to relegate themselves. After 18 minutes, an own goal and a penalty put Fiorentina 1-0 up away to Sampdoria before Nicola Muro got himself sent off for the hosts. Milan Badel must have felt bad though, so he got himself sent off as well in the 44th, just after Chiesa had made it 3-0 from a penalty. This match was insane. It had it all. Vlahovic and Chiesa each completed their braces in the second half, and Gabbiadini pulled one back for the hosts, 5-1 Fiorentina. One of the hottest teams in the bottom half of the table, Lecce, they've done it again, they've done it again. The former basement boys got their 3rd win on the trot. They won 2-1 against Spal at home in the Stadio Via del Mare. Absolute bowl of a stadium. I love a bowl stadium, but the distance from the pitch, I don't love that. So, shout out to Lecce. Keep doing your thing, boys. Speaking of doing your thing, Roma's current thing is losing matches as they lost their 3rd match in a row, and this time it was a 6-pointer as they went away to Bergamo and lost to Atalanta 2-1. What's an Atalanta match without an itch scoring? And this time it was Pasalic. Ilicic passing the baton over to Pasalic, who had been on the pitch for only a matter of seconds before scoring. But before that, let's backtrack here with some non-linear storytelling as Edin Dzeko put Roma up 1-0 on the stroke of halftime, only for them to blow it within the first 15 minutes of the second half. Palomino with the equalizer, then Pasalic with the winner, 2-1 Atalanta. Oh, and Juve, with a few changes to their 11, overcame Brescia 2-0 at home, as you would hope, given that Brescia was playing with 10 men since the 37th minute. Florian I with that 4-minute red card, baby. You hate to see it. I think he got one in the 33rd, and then a second yellow in the 37th. So yeah. All right, Inter versus Lazio from the Stadio Olimpico, finally. This one was dripping with intrigue for old Adrian here, as 2 of Europe's longest unbeaten runs were on the line. Plus, if Lazio won, they would leapfrog Inter. Plus times 2, it was a battle of 2 of the Serie A's top scorers. Plus times 3, Lukaku boys going head to head, except Jordan never made it onto the battlefield, so unlucky Jojo. All right, so I never really thought that Inter looked comfortable on the pitch in this match. This is a team that throughout the season has, at least in my opinion, never really looked like they're in full flight. They've always been sort of towing the line. They look brilliant sometimes, and then they toe the line again. The quality that they have pushes them over in the end, but up against a great team like Lazio, you really have to be at your best. The only teams to beat Lazio this season in the Serie A, Spal, and Inter. But that was when they had 2 losses in their first 5 matches, and they haven't looked back since that loss against Inter. Inter were the last team to defeat Lazio in the Serie A. So with that in mind, Ashley Young put Inter ahead just before the half, and you would have been forgiven for thinking, that's it boys, no way Conte is going to let his team let their guard down after that win last week over Milan. They're going to be fine. But in the second half, who else but Ciro Immobile brought the score level from the penalty spot, his 26th goal in 24 matches, which is just stunning form, ridiculous form. I need to quit playing around and do a bio on this guy, but I kind of want to wait for the end of the season as his numbers are going to be insane. Might I remind you, 2 seasons ago, he was tied for first in the Serie A standings with 29 goals. He will have 14 more opportunities to take his tally past that, so I think it's safe to say he's gonna do it. Anyway, Immobile love and over. It was Milinkovic-Savic who'd completed the turnaround on the 69th minute. He's having a great season without all of the transfer hype surrounding him, which hurt him last season. And he nearly scored a ludicrous goal in the first half. A whipped and dipped strike. Whipped and dipped. That crashed off of the crossbar. Whipped and dipped sounds pretty stupid, but don't tell me that you can't picture what that strike looks like in your mind's eye. Whipped and dipped. One of those. So Lazio win 2-1. Great performance from Le Ragazzi, and that win moves them above Inter into second by a full 2 points. And they're just 1 point behind Juve, a team they beat 3-1 on 2 occasions already this season. Those two meet again on April 26th. Can't wait. And those other teams are in these places. Hellas Verona in 6th. What? Napoli in 8th after a win over Cagliari? What? By the way, what a collapse from Cagliari. They haven't won in 10 matches now after that hot fire start to the season. And finally, we have Spain. And after I had praised Real Madrid for having the best defensive record out of anyone in Europe's top 5 leagues, they went ahead and leaked 2 goals against Celta Vigo, a team that was looking like they could be in a relegation fight later this season. I mean, they are actually currently. Guys are in 17th with the same amount of points as 18th placed Mallorca. So they are in a relegation fight, it's safe to say. But Celta didn't win against Madrid, but they sure put up a fight. Fedor Smolov put them 1-0 up early at the Bernabeu, but in the second half, Toni Kroos and Sergio Ramos got 1 apiece to lift Los Blancos above Los potentially relegados. However, in the 85th, Santi Mina struck for Celta once again to make it 2-2. Surprising result, especially considering the form Real have been in this season. Still haven't lost a La Liga match since October though. In Barcelona, Messi and the boys welcomed red-hot Getafe to the Camp Nou as the visitors came into this with 4 wins from 4 under their belt. The aforementioned Messi set up his boy Antoine Griezmann for the opener after 33 minutes, and just 6 minutes later, Sergi Roberto scored what was the eventual winner. 2-1 Barcelona. Getafe got one in the second half. That's 3 consecutive wins for the Blaugrana. Know who would kill for 3 consecutive wins right now across all competitions? Atletico. Another week, another result that Simeone must be just banging his head against the wall. 2-2 away to Valencia. Not the worst result at the Mestalla, of course, but Atleti have just 1 win in their last 7 matches across all competitions, which is some truly rotten form by their standards. Oh, and guess who they play next? Liverpool. Villarreal keep on climbing and warming my heart as they are now unbeaten in 4 matches after their win over Levante, which means they have moved into 6th place. Remember when it looked like they may get relegated last season? What a turnaround. They now have Sevilla, Atletico, and Getafe all within their sights, while Madrid's drop points allowed Barcelona to move within 1 point of them. Fun title races in Spain, Germany, and Italy. All right, boys and girls, another weekend recap over and another recap in the books. What? What did I just say? Anyways, a big thank you for watching. If you made it this far, then comment your shoe size. No further context, just your shoe size. And I'll read your comment and I'll know you're a real one, okay? I'll see you tomorrow, guys, for that Man City Explainer. My name's Adrian. I love you. Take care.